Hello and welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, always with me, Anthony C., your host. Welcome. Do us that usual favor, hit that share button. Share the broadcast with your contact. Always broadcasting from our headquarters in Atlanta is your network Focus on Liberia. Joining me in today's edition of the Hour of Politics is my partner, Dennis Jai. This guy has been around. He knows a lot about politics and the discourse. Dennis, welcome. It's good to
Thank
have
you,
you
Mr. C.
co-hosting. I'm playing boss today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad. Always a pleasure to join the Hour of Politics. I left politics a long time ago, as Madame Quiwonkpa can tell. No, I'm kidding. But it's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for joining me. Folks, I will give that for another day. Tarloh Quiwonkpa is our guest. Welcome. It's good to have you, Tarloh.
Thanks for having me on your platform. I have occasionally followed your broadcast and admire you both for the transformative topics you guys always discuss. So thank you.
Thank you. And we can welcome you enough. Our topic for today's discussion or dialogue with Tarloh is why Tarloh Quiwonkpa resigned as Liberia's chief nurse. A little about her. Tarloh is now the former chief nursing and midwifery officer of Liberia. She took out a job in that capacity and she has resigned. We want to know the reasons that led to her resignation from this very important role that she was playing in helping to provide leadership, especially in the area of health in Liberia. Tarloh, in terms of qualification, is a registered nurse. She holds a BSc, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. She also holds a Master of Science in Nursing. She also has advanced certification in nursing informatics. And she also has a Master in Health Information Administration. So she brings a lot of qualification and experience and credentials to the area of leadership. Again, Tarloh, it's good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you once again. Thank you.
If there's anything you wish to add that fellow Liberians listening, you think might interest them to know about you before we get started here.
Yeah, perhaps. Thank you for that. I would like to also interject that I am a proud breed from Kennedy, the National Culture Center, where
Okay.
I graduated from. In spite of the challenges we had with the educational system, we remain focused and got us here where we are today. So I'm proud of that connections. My roots includes Kennedy.
All right. Dennis want to talk something about that Kennedy. Dennis, you are big enough then to know what was happening culturally in Liberia. Talk to me. Any question for Tarloh? What you remember?
Oh no, Kennedy was a beautiful place. I remember 1988. I
Mhm.
was there on behalf of my high school to receive at the Jamboree.
Mhm.
Jamboree 1988 Jamboree. We were supposed to receive our prizes as a second second place winner for that year's midday challenge. That was 1988.
Mhm.
But the transfer, so that was my first time actually going to Kenya. But it was beautiful place, and I see that people like Tarloh, like Fatu Gayflow, like Mafekbe, all these people are very sad that Kenya is no more. And a lot of us too were very sad because that was our national pride and a place that people went. If you went to Labro, you wanted to see what was going on in Canada, and we watched that over TV, all their programs, their drama, and I mean, you name it. And again, I also want to mention that Tarloh Quiwonkpa is the widow of General Thomas Quiwonkpa, and that's something that we all know. And I personally am proud of her because those days when you heard someone was in Canada, that was a time you know that, oh, Canada is a culture. You know how we look at them, that they were just performers. But
Mhm.
Tarloh has moved on from that Canada and has completely uh, made tremendous progress. Look at all the degrees you read and things that she has accomplished in life. So we are proud of the products of Kenija and what they are doing. I sometimes speak with Princess Fatu Giflo, and these are people that they are doing tremendous work, and they are still bearing the torch and carrying the culture of Labrum forward. So again, I want to say thank you for your work, and thank you both in and out of Kenija.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Again, if you are just joining us, the topic for today's discussion is why Tarloh Quiwonkpa resigned as Liberia chief nurse. That is, she has been the chief for nursing and midwifery in the Republic of Liberia. Before we get started, I will give a little intro. Tarloh is a Liberian who moved to the United States some time ago. Got significant education and decided to go back to Liberia to contribute, just as many of us will want to. She went to Liberia and she has completely moved all her things to Liberia, according to what she told me. She went home, wanted to contribute because she saw the need that that country needs out of us. She had moved completely to contribute. But Taylor has resigned her position and has returned back to the United States. Why? She is not the first. Why this keep happening? Why this keeps happening? Well, Tyler is here. What a story, and we will get it all. And if you want to be part of the discussion, you want to be here and share the broadcast. So, Tyler, let's get started. What a story! You moved back to Liberia completely. What your reasons for moving back to Liberia? First of all, let's get that.
Well, thank you very much. I want to say thanks to you again, and thanks
Mhm,
to all those who are listening in Radio Land, in the diaspora, and also in Liberia, Europe, and other African country.
mhm,
It has always been my desire to move back home
mhm,
because I felt the need that what happened in Liberia to have had all of our people to be displayed in diaspora, it came from a conflict between uh, Do and Quiwonkpa. So I always, for some reason, felt that what I have learned, what my country didn't give me, I felt the need to go back home and help those people who may have suffered through those processes they went through, from the war, from the overthrowing, from the child stealer, and all of those events. Secondly, I felt that I had learned and also had the experience in America here. For instance, I worked in the emergency room here in Minnesota in a famous major hospital for 15 years in the ER. Then I also work in the ICU. I also work in the burn intensive care unit at a major hospital here as well. I became supervisors. I work every unit. The only place I haven't worked is in the OR because I didn't like being in the OR. I've worked pediatric ICU over the years. I have supervised. I also work in a capacity as a nurse manager and program manager for a major trauma hospital here in Minnesota. In addition, I taught nursing for 5 years in three different colleges. At some point, I was working in two colleges teaching two schools. Okay, and I graduated a lot of Liberians. In fact, one of the colleges that I taught, Liberians were the first 8 Liberians for the first time in that college history. Liberians graduated in that high number. So, given my experience, I felt the need in the healthcare sector during Ebola. We organized ourselves to go and give back to Liberia. Some healthcare practitioners, Dr. Yar and I think we have over 1,000 members in our database. We were rejected. I received, in fact, I wrote President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and said, I would like to come and help. And she wrote me back. I received a certified mail, and she said, no, we don't need your help. Then, when the president came to power, President George Weah, I felt even the urgency to go. I felt it was time because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had denied me the first opportunity. So I felt this is, Gina, like the crew poor said, this is our time. I felt it was my time to give my contribution. So I went home to give back to my country. And as you rightly said, I am a healthcare professional who care very much about the healthcare delivery system in Liberia. That was precisely my primary reason I accepted the job at the Ministry of Health. Little did I know or expected that I would have been balancing my job requirements as well as my safety issues.
Hmm.
So I went home to give back to my people.
Madam Kwongba, that's interesting. Just to be clear, you say you offered to help and you were denied by Mrs. President Salif. Did she give you any reason?
She said they had enough people on the grounds at this time. In fact, we were going in as medical boots on the ground, and medical boots on the ground was a large group. They denied us. Then I personally wrote her a letter, and I have a copy of that letter. And I emailed that letter to her, and she received it. And I got a reply from her saying that at this point in time, they had enough help and they didn't need my help.
Right. And let me go back into a little history because
So,
you have some issue with President Salif even before she became president. I read that famous letter that open letter that you wrote to her. Did that have anything to do with it?
yeah, I think so. I think it did. Because, sometimes when you tell the truth, and I think Mr. Salif did not expect me to be this articulative. Mr. Salif knew me when I was at Kennedy, and that is a different story. She knew where I came from. Mr. Salif used to dive our home in the barracks looking for Thomas. So she knew who I was. So I think the fact that what she did, what happened, and over 30 years, they never came back. So I told myself, maybe because she knows that I'm from Kennedy, I could not speak the English well. Listen, when I came to America, I took English as a second language, 5 different aspects. And I refined myself and went to school. So I said, maybe because these people think that, Tala is from Kennedy, she's not educated, she wouldn't understand. So I went to school and educated myself through the help of the US government because I took student loans and so forth. Um, and so I felt my background, she knew. So she just didn't, in addition to the letter, she didn't want to have any, I think she was just worried. Just so. But that, I think, in my opinion, play a role in her. And it should not even be. When you are in crisis, like the nation needed help, this is time to have all hands on deck and let us put our personal matter aside. But she did not accept even our medical boots on the ground, who was spearheaded by Dr. Dubayam. And when they refused us, and then I wrote her personally and said, listen, I have the expertise in these areas that you need help with. And she refused. So I said, okay. And I just did. Yeah.
Thank you. And so, President Weah came to power. You felt that even it's more urgent. You offered to help, and you were there. Tell me a little bit. This is my first time seeing this job, and I must admit, the Chief Nursing and Midwifery Officer. Tell me about that. What is that?
Well, this position is a very unique and very critical position within the health sector. When you are the chief nursing and midwifery officer, you are responsible for all of the nurses, the midwives, the nursing assistants, and when I say the nurses, it includes the nurse anesthetist. Your role is to ensure, first of all, you must have the skills, you must have the background, the requirements internationally from a Western perspective, you must at least have masters in leadership, or you can also have masters in healthcare administration. I do have a master's in healthcare administration. In addition, they ask that you can get a certification in leadership or healthcare administration. Also, if you taught in colleges, you pretty much deal with people and you must manage. I serve as a manager for a program manager for a rehab or trauma unit here in Minnesota. Now, that role in Liberia, given the challenges we have, not every nurse can become a chief nursing officer. This person is the voice for nurses who understands every aspect of nursing practice as it relates to the wall, the equipments, the skills. the knowledge, the vision to enhance quality outcomes. You must know about budget analysis. You must know about staffing. You must know about what is the next level of advancement my staff, my nurses need to move and drive quality outcomes. And technically, I am not sounding condescending about this position. The person who is there that was appointed, she may have a master's, which she just acquired like 7 months ago. She also has a bachelor's in science, and it's appreciated. But the issue, I have seen her work, the inexperience. I have tried to guide her and to say, well, let's do a performance appraisal and guide you. She was never open. And then to put her in there, even after this particular person ethically and morally provoked to attack me many times, not once, not twice, 4 times, only because I was doing the right thing. So
And
it is not a position where anyone can just have. You must have the credentials, the nursing experience. And in my opinion, given what I left back home, the health sector, and what I saw and experienced with this person, she has not yet reached that capacity. She does not have the efficiency that is needed to move nursing agenda forward and to articulate that. She
th-
still
th-
needs management skill, which she does not have.
thank you, Tarloh. And we will talk more on your experience with then your deputy, who is now more like the acting chief nurse for Liberia. But I then asked a question about this role, chief nurse and midwifery officer of Liberia. Is it an appointed position, uh, or how is that decision made as to who occupies that position?
Very good question. You asked a very good question. I tried to look for that information, but what I
Mhm.
was told in my very office, because we have a team member who worked in the office there for a long time,
Mhm.
the act that created the health law, the first one, it should have been, they had in that bill, it is a presidential position, like an assistant minister. Dr. Keta right now is a medical doctor, and he's the deputy minister as well as the chief medical officer. So this role, it is, or it used to, or when the act was created, it used to be an appointed position by the president.
Okay.
But over the years, I remember one year it was alleged that somebody, Ellen Bro, her sister, was in it, So over the years, people have not looked at this position. And if you're going to have outcomes in Liberia to be enhanced, this is a major critical position that needs to be an appointee position by the president. Somehow, some way, the ministry took it out of that allegedly. And I tried looking for that act. I couldn't find it. I asked everybody. I could not find it. So now it is the minister who goes about appointing, or if the deputy finds someone who is qualified and has the credential, they can do it. Now, it works the same way here in America. I used to be a nurse manager. If this big organization, trauma hospital I was working at, when I had openings to fill, and if a staff nurse from the floor comes to me and say, Mrs. Quiwonkpa, I have a nurse who wants to come in. She has this experience. I said, have her bring her resume. When she brings that, I send her to the HR department because I know my needs. I know who I need and what I'm going to do to move my agenda for that division. So basically, in our context, in the Liberian context, it should be an appointed position by the president. Now, why the position was eliminated from the president's, role, that question I wouldn't be able to answer.
So as it is, if I can follow up here quickly, as it is, uh, the Minister of Health is the one now to assign somebody or appoint somebody, and does that also mean that that minister also has the authority to either fire and discipline any such person in that role?
Yeah, yeah. From what I saw on the ground in Liberia, the
Mhm,
minister, if she finds anyone, she can
mhm,
appoint. If the deputy sees anyone, she too can do that. As a matter of fact, when I first went to Liberia, I took my
mhm,
resume and gave it to Dr. Kete, and I
mhm.
ran after him for weeks. And then I also gave it to Dr. Jerry Brown. See, my hope was to go to JFK and help to enhance practice. So when they didn't respond to me, you know, I was able to get the job from being referred to the HR department, and that's what happened. I got a job.
So,
Yeah.
Tarloh,
Mhm.
this is new to most people listening, right? This is a whole division under the Ministry of Health responsible for all nurses in Liberia and all midwives in Liberia. As the chief nurse of Liberia, what are the responsibilities of the chief nurse of Liberia?
The chief nursing and midwifery officer of Liberia role is to ensure that her objective in trying to make sure skills of nurses, knowledge, equipments align with the Ministry of Health overall vision. The role of the chief nursing officer is to make sure quality outcomes. How nurses are trained, they must be able to have license. That license must be renewed. And if they don't have that license renewed, what are the challenges? The chief nursing officer must ensure that these nurses who have issues, who are not able to grab skills in the various hospitals, put in mechanism dealing with international best practice and make sure these skills and knowledge are provided to our nurses. The chief nursing officer also needs to ensure that people like nurses giving positions, for instance, the 15 counties, if they're going to hire, my office need to see the list. But right now in Liberia, they don't do it. If there's a vacancy in maybe, let's say, for example, Maryland County, the county health officer will hire anybody or take anybody who doesn't even have that qualification. What I learned, it should come to my office, they make a reference, and I see it, look at it, and then they go ahead because they have the opening they need to fill over at their facility. The chief nursing officer also read policy, ensure that protocols, policy, revision, follow-up, workflow process, analysis of admission forms, protocols regarding various diseases are in part with best practice. The chief nursing officer also advises and gives objective advice to the minister. The chief nursing officer works alongside with various organizations to ensure that what they are bringing, like for instance, so many times we've had some NGOs would bring drugs.
Right.
Is that drug something? What is the implication to our youth? You look at that and you explore the risk and benefit, and then you work with the other division and talk about it. The chief nursing officer also has a responsibility to ensure that the environment in which nurses are practicing and living and residing it's very clean with the equipment, enabling environment. The chief nursing officer role also means that working alongside the International Council of Nurses, West African College, to see how best we can align our skills and their new best practice together to move our agenda. And other more responsibilities that the chief nursing, but those are the major ones. But you must have that ability analytical analysis as it relates to disease process as well, budgeting, and to drive the vision. Managerial skills plays a whole lot in that role.
Right.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dennis.
And talking about that, I was going to ask how you got the job, but you mentioned that already. So this chief of nursing officer is you are for the entire Republic of Liberia. Are there chief nursing officer for each of those hospitals? Do you know?
Good question, Dennis. Basically, what we were trying to do when I went there, no, we don't. We don't have chief nursing officer for the county. What they do have, they have the county health officer. Now, the county health officer is like the minister in the county. What we did, my team and I in Liberia, we look at the gaps we're looking at from the World Bank project, and we realize there's a disconnect. If there's an issue in Kipamas, each hospital have got a director of nursing, but the director of nursing is basically localized to this particular hospital.
Mhm.
And I want to believe the county health office do have different divisions that goes out to look at nursing needs, but there is not a chief nursing officer. You cannot have chief nursing officer of Liberia and have chief nursing. So we crafted a document to have the minister and our partner support to say, well, since there's so much disconnect, if I needed information from Maryland or Lofa County, You can't get that information. I don't have someone to look up to. So we decided to say that let's have a director of nursing for the county who
Right.
would then look at clinics, look at hospitals. In addition to the director you have in these various hospitals, there must be a nurse on that county health officer who represents nurses and midwives. But the county health officer team is mainly doctors, and that part is missing. And I got people were fighting me so much, fighting our department to have that implemented. This was one of the goals. So we don't have chief nursing officer in the counties. And you cannot have chief nursing officer of Liberia, but at least you can have director of nursing for that
Yeah.
county, and then have a director of nursing or director officer of nursing, some kind of title we nomenclature we establish, but we don't have that.
Right. My last question before I go to Mr. C is normally we and President Salif government did that very well to hire people from the United States. So you from the United States, you went back. What was the process like getting this job? How competitive this process was, or were you preferred by some big person somewhere? How really did you walk me through how you got the job and how if there were other people who were in this competition with you to get this job?
So basically, I did not even know about this position. Like I indicated, I only went in with my resume. If you look at my resume, I give to Dr. Kete and also Dr. Brown. I was shooting for JFK to be on the wall as a supervisor, which is literally a demotion from the role I held in America. Because the hospital I left, I was the nurse manager and the program manager for that unit. So I held two positions. Okay. So I just went out to a program, speaking of nursing, and in that program, I heard about, the ministry was hiring, and I just submitted my information to uh uh, uh what's what's her name? The deputy minister of health. She was at that program. And I asked some very legitimate question. And when you are a leader, you look for best talent in any little gathering you are.
Yeah.
And that's where I got approached. I talked to her and I asked if I could bring my resume over to the HR. And I did that. I didn't know her at the time.
Mm.
I did not know her, Adam Straight Cat. I was just looking, listening, because when I hear about nursing issue, in this particular program, they had Elfrida Tamba was going to be the keynote speaker, and she was. So I got even more intrigued because I like to see women in leadership. So I went there, and lo and behold, they had a deputy minister at that program. And during the intermission, we interacted. She was curious how I spoke so well about nursing, and she asked me what I was doing. I said, I'm a manager in America. And so I took in my resume to the ministry at the HR.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
folks, if you are just joining us, you are watching the Hour of Politics with me as my partner, Dennis Jai. Our guest is Tarloh Quiwonkpa, who just resigned her position at Liberia Chief Nurse and Midwifery Officer. She went to Liberia to contribute, but sadly, she has to leave for so many reasons. And yet, other things we are discussing, one of which is corruption that she came very close to. And so, if you want to see that, listening to that, you want to stick around, we will get to that. Tarloh, I'm curious here. You took up this role. I'm sure you had expectation. You want the best for Liberia. What were your expectations when you took up the responsibility?
Well, the expectation was that we will learn new knowledge. What I have, the knowledge I'm bringing in, and that the knowledge the team on the ground already have, those are unique, strong knowledge put together to create a very strong clinical processes. Where I also expected that the division will have a budget. I also expected that the division would have had coordinators enough, because the division also is responsible to inspect quality outcomes in clinics if there's abandonment or maybe malpractices, in collaboration with the another division, the quality management division. So I expected us to have professional dialogue and objective, constructive critiques as professionals in the healthcare business. That if you see something that is not in line with best practice, your immediate boss will understand that and say, yeah, let's explore that a little bit more. Let's do the research and see how best we can apply it, or maybe rearrange it to meet our context in Liberia. That was my expectation. My expectation also was that you will be able to speak freely and not being exercised or marginalized, right? To the
Mhm.
point where you are responsible for nurses and issues relating to nurses are happening and you are marginalized. They don't tell you about it because only you will provide some real good objective analysis. And that was my expectation as professional leaders. That's what I taught. Not knowing is different in Liberia. When you try to give a sincere, honest, truthful, and based on experience and best practice advice, it's like you taking someone else's daily bread away from them. And that's what I saw. And it was just kind of a mind blowing because these are doctors, these are nurses, these are people who are trying. We sit at a table every day and we speak about health system strengthening. It's not just to get a vehicle and get on the road. It's the processes that leads to what the nurses who are at the front line fighters of disease processes, what are they getting? Are they getting the right skill? Are they being paid on time? So the expectation was professional expectation, but lo and behold, it was not what I saw.
Hmm.
So it was frustrating. But yet to say I love doing the work I did.
And we're going to get to those frustrating things while you resign. Before we get to that, you've worked there probably like 3 or 4 years.
3 years.
What during that time? What were your accomplishment, your major accomplishment? Because I
I
want to
knew you
know
were
how
going
you
to ask
did
that question.
that. Yeah.
I knew you were going to ask the question. Not just me, in collaboration with my team members. When I went, when I realized we had no budget, so I'm like, ooh, I come from a place where I had a budget of 5 million that I was dealing with my team. No budget? Okay. So how do we do this? Now, what I decided to do, I took, my office, I had two offices, one on the first floor and one upstairs. The office at upstairs much bigger because that's where you have most of the team members. And that office also administer the yellow fever vaccination. If you are traveling abroad, you must go there and get the vaccine. So realizing that we didn't have a budget, so it's like you come to work, there's no budget. What do? You just go to maybe a program at the complex and come back. So I said, well, I talked to my team. I said, I want to take a look at how the yellow fever vaccine is being administered. And I did go there in my own office at the ministry. The discrepancy in its administration, how it is stored based on the WHO recommendations was not in place. Seriously. So then my team and I decided to conduct a workflow process because we felt the need that if in my office, if the workflow process is being violated and the drug is not being stored in the cold chain environment recommended by WHO, what is happening at other places? So we listed all of the various border checkpoints, including the Freeport, the airport, Wagatua, Bowater side. I mean, you name it. Some areas we didn't get to go there because there was no money. The places we went, we analyzed that workflow process, looked for common theme, and we were able to present. My team and I presented to the highest body in or at the ministry. This is the body that normally, if they're going to implement and have something turn into a policy, it is that body that decides. So when I presented, the World Bank saw that and said, let me see that slide. The last slide was the outcomes that I had, how to enhance quality outcomes. And that is where the World Bank decided to give my division a project that they had just got through funding with $2.3 million. And the project outcome was worse than before. So then they said they weren't going to give us $1 million. They gave us less than that for 1 year to be able to go into the hospital and institutionalize, the maternal death audit form. And so we accept that. And that's the reason why we were able to get that World Bank project. Now, following that project, my team and I begin to look for ways to enhance. Listen, in Liberia right now, we have over 1,200 clinics, 1,215. My office is responsible to make sure all the inspection are going along with their quality team, inspect on a daily basis, quarterly, and identify any maybe deficiency or any kind of a malpractice, and come back, investigate, and enhance that nurse knowledge. We are just 23 in my office. If you have 1,215, we didn't have enough nurses. And besides that, in the 15 counties, we divided it into regions. For instance, region one, uh, we had one of the region, we have Bum County, Lofa, and Nima. They have in Bum County 26 health center rather, 24 clinics, 3 hospital, total of 53. Then we have private hospital of 12 and public 41. LOFA, if you add all of those together, no one is conducting anything. So our goal was to use data. I mean, I have it here. To use data and say, how can we present this to a partner who will help us? This is also in the policy we launched. How can we find a way to ensure that all of these clinics we have in not just Montserrat County, how do we ensure nurses are on the ground day to day inspecting clinics as well as government clinics and private clinics and hospital and health center? It's not being done. And if it is being done, let them show you the latest report. Okay. In addition to that, my achievement was we launched the nursing policy. I must give credit to my predecessor who initially started the discussion with the Global Fund. Global Fund gave the money, but when I came, my predecessor apparently she was on her health leave, so the money was sitting down there. So when I came, I learned about it. We decided to tackle that, and we were able to release the National Nursing and Midwifery Policy 2020 to 2025. We were not successful in showing that all of the 1,000 plus clinics get these policy. I think we released maybe less than 75. We could not afford it. Yeah, right. But the goal was then to bring our partners and let them know we still need to have these in all of the hospitals, clinic, health center in Liberia. We're working towards that. Another achievement through the World Bank project, my team and I, in collaboration with the various county, because we had like 8 hospitals, were able to train 429 nurses in areas that the World Bank project identified needed to be strengthened. We did that in collaboration with some team members in the division, some units, and then also the county health team. We work collectively. We drafted interventions that they must follow based on best practice. In addition to that, under my administration, because nurses do not have any kind of a dex reference to say they're giving drugs, right, like dilantin or magnesium to say, because they use a lot of magnesium. When you do not have magnesium, when a woman has preeclampsia, she goes into convulsion and it uses magnesium. In the Western world, when I use magnesium and for a pregnant woman, you have to put them on cardiac monitor and know what the heart is doing because magnesium affects the cardiac rhythm, how the heart is going to pump. So realize that they didn't have a drug book. I talked to the Mercy Ship. When I left, Mercy Ship was able to deliver, I think, how many drug books for nurses? Over 50, I think, along with other things. In addition to that, under my administration, we try to look at nurses in the ministry who license were expired for like 5 years, 6 years, and they will stay working. Some of them would even go into conduct clinical researches or training in places. So I needed to know how many nurses within the ministry, because it's my role to ensure compliance. I talked to my immediate boss about it, and my immediate boss approved of that. We identified the various people down to some real top directors who are female who license are expired. As we were conducting this activity, I got called by Mr. Sherman. Mr. Sherman is an assistant minister. She said I was moving too fast.
No, slow down.
And then, we talk about it, and she felt the need to put a halt to the program because, what happened in that ministry is sad. The very leaders who should be ensuring these things, they are the ones who do not apply, or abide by those guidelines. So apparently, the person talked to her, and she called me. I said, Madam Minister, please help me clarify. Are you suggesting that we put an end to this? And she literally told me, don't be smart, Tyler. You know what I'm talking about. So we had to put that aside. And it really, and I took my concern. I didn't stop there. I went to other leadership and discussed my concern. If I'm in this role and my, reference letter is telling me I have to ensure I work alongside the board of nursing to ensure nurses license I renew. And if they don't have money to renew it, how can I formulate some means to help them to renew? Because it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
That program got black. We stopped. I told my team, let's, all of those things. In addition, the achievement I did there was to, even though it didn't go into implementation, my staff and I went to Redemption Hospital. We went to Redemption Hospital. We looked at the staffing effectiveness. Nurses were working 240 hours in a month. And we look at the outcomes. We look at doctors. Some doctors who were there at the time when I arrived into work, they would go to that clinic. So we introduced something called, that we use here in terms of staffing, the ratio. Dr. Jada favored that very well, and we were going to give that to a partner to help support that. But that again, after 6 months of me using my own private money, doing the work with my team, going down to Redemption every day for 6 months. And the Redemption team embraced that. It didn't get implemented because of money. So another achievement that I did, I worked alongside the dialysis center that was just opened.
Okay.
The kidney dialysis center. Though this project was started by President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, she sent some nurses over to, I think, Japan. When the dialysis center was about to be open, I was asked to go and do assessment to see whether we're ready. And I went there and told my leaders, it wasn't yet ready to be open because it was going to be open that time for the president to announce it. By me giving my honest, objective assessment, I fell in trouble because that would have been put in the president's speech last year to open. As you can recall, the dialysis center just opened. For that dialysis center, I, along with my team, we conducted 2 weeks. Even though I volunteer to teach these nurses, right? I told my bosses, I have taught dialysis nurses and work dialysis in America. Let me train these nurses once we had a scholarship before they go down there to get anxiety. When we get them trained here and go through training, it will alleviate some of the fear. That they didn't do it. They went and got a lady from Nigeria. She came, she did not have any material whatsoever. Thank God there was a nephrologist who came. He has some document. Medical interventions is different from nursing intervention. So I use the nephrologist PowerPoint alongside the nursing PowerPoint, and we combine those and we taught those nurses more at the dialysis center. I also taught the implication that dialysis can have on cardiac function. That was not part of the ladies. I did that. So those nurses were successful. Another thing that I did too, because I did an analysis of the shortages of nursing profession, like for instance, we don't have intensive care nurses. We don't have ICU nurses. We don't have critical care nurses. We don't have nephrologist nurses. We don't have oncology nurses. We do not have orthopedics nurses. We do not have telemetry nurses. So I look at that and I went to Dr. Jala and she was able to reach out to one of her counterparts in the Western region. I asked if we can have them train our nurses at in Ghana, Cameroon, and Nigeria. The WHO allocated some money for that, for these nurses to go for the training. My office, alongside the scholarship division at the ministry, the board of nursing external partners, we designed interview questions. We vetted those nurses. We asked them what they knew about dialysis. We did the vetting real well. And in the end, we successfully elected nurses to go for that training. Whether they
Thank
have
you.
done yet is yet to know.
Hmm.
And things I have done. You know,
I know you have a whole list. We don't want, and definitely we're going to call you back because almost everything you touch, I see a different show in it. So I don't want to take that too long. Let's
Dennis,
talk,
Dennis, before I forget,
yeah.
one of the things too I was training my team in the office is to be able to interpret EKG. Now
Hmm.
all those doctors in Liberia know that stuff, even the directors in that ministry. So I say, it will be your best time because let me tell you something. When a woman, our maternal death rate was at 1,070 when I went.
What is EKG, first of all, Telo?
Electrocardiogram.
Thank
It
you.
is a machine
Mhm,
that when you put the electrodes on the patient's chest when they're having chest pain,
mhm,
it tells you what rhythm the patient is in, liter with rhythm.
mhm,
When you are bleeding and your hemoglobin is low and you're losing blood, it puts you into liter rhythm, which can kill you. So I went there and I said, given the fact that we have this high incidence of maternal death in addition to other infection that goes on,
mhm.
maybe I should train my team how to reinterpret EKG. I brought that into my office, trained some people. Only a few were interested. So those who were interested, they knew how to interpret that, you know.
So
And
they said that EKG will eat. Is that
no,
what happened?
they didn't say that. I
Oh,
think
okay.
it can be a little bit intimidating because it's all analyzing electrical conduction of the heart.
Mhm.
To see how much blood is flowing through. If a valve is having problems, you have to be able to identify that. If the beat is too fast, and let me tell you something. This is the fundamental thing that's killing our women in Liberia. When you're losing blood, you can give them all the potassium and magnesium. If you don't know what cardiac rhythm they are in, they will bleed to death and die. Then we blame the poor nurses and say the nurse didn't do the right thing. Well, she's using intuitive knowledge based on her experience, but she doesn't know what the heart is doing to tackle that heart at normal rhythm. So this is what I was bringing into the ministry. People say, "Oh, moving too fast."
Yeah, you need to slow down.
And
So
we are here.
let's did you do anything about this license issue? I know nurses need license that need to be updated. Talk to me maybe 1 minute about that. I know you have a whole book. Right.
No, Liberia is a hell of a country. I must say in this public domain that while it is true the challenges are there, there are a lot of nurses who are willing to learn.
Yeah.
A whole lot. A whole lot of nurses are willing to learn. You know what I'm saying? So let it not sound like they are not. It's just that enabling environment and the leadership to move. Sometimes I wonder, the United States is part of, we look up to the United States. If you look in America today, uh, most of the managers, ICU, critical care, intensive care, Liberians, Nigerians are
Yeah.
leading those leadership role. I don't understand or I don't comprehend how is it that our relationship with America for this length of time, we do not even have American equipments in our ER. Yes, we appreciate the foreign equipments we have. When those equipment break down, our nurses cannot even read them. They can't even fix it. It stays there and there, rotting and rust. So why we can't reach out to America? But then again, it's a leadership issue. It's a leadership issue. Imagine how our hospital in Liberia can be so effective and efficient if we had American equipments on the ground in our hospital. Our nurses here in the diaspora go into hospital in Liberia, partnership with a nurse midwife, director or manager. They work alongside for 6 months. These are things I was bringing because they are moving too fast.
So,
Now,
Telo, quickly, let's talk about the facility. I know you talked a little bit on training, but let's
Yeah.
talk about
She
the
was landing on
facility.
the license issue. If the
oh,
nurses
the license. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me get back to that before
All
you
right, land on
go.
the license issue,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, I'm so sorry. I got so much to talk. I love nursing.
Mhm,
That's my passion. No, to be honest with you, I went out on my own, even though I didn't have budget. My team and I used to improvise, and
Okay.
we worked with the board. I went even to the higher education because this license thing here it goes way beyond just license. The board and I were working collaboratively. Every time I went out, I would call the register. There are a lot of clinics over there owned by these senators that are not even, adhering to compliance issue. So when you identify these people at these clinics or hospital owned by senators, right, and
mhm.
schools,
Oh, senators in healthcare too.
I am telling you, they have some of them got clinics They got nursing school. And what are they teaching in those nursing school? They are teaching nursing assistants to be nurses. You go into a senator clinic that I went to, they got nursing assistants functioning as nurses. This is not a hidden secret. So you take your analysis to the board. In fact, we had a meeting with Senator Sonwabi about licensure, the proliferation of nursing schools and all these things. And he had a good idea for us to see how do we stop this and make sure people have that licensure. It just died down. It just died down. So I did work with Cecilia Flomo, the board register. We were doing some real good job. Every time I went out on the field, my team went out on the field, they would bring report. We take those report, we send it, look at it, give it to our bosses at the Ministry of Health. It will lay down there because there's no funding.
So are there nurses who are practicing and not certified by the board in Liberia?
The board makes sure to certificate or certify most nurses. They have a database now. Thank God for that. But there are some nurses who are new grad. For them to go and sit for the boards, they don't do it. What happened? These clinics, some of which do not have the proper licensure right now. I got a whole list. They go and they hire these people who just graduated and don't have that license. The board cannot go and say, why you didn't get your license? That's not a board responsibility. The board is to say, here's the time you come and sit for your boards, come and take it. But a lot of them bypass that processes. And let me tell you, the board don't play with them. The board do take actions against people who I found because I saw that happen in the past. But there's a lot of clinics there. People license expire, nurses air hanging IV drip in clinic. That's why you see patients go to these clinics here. The nurse or the nursing assistant do not have the skill to know what the heart is doing, what the lung is doing. They keep those patients in a clinics that is also subdeveloped, lack of equipment, only for the little Liberian dollar or US dollar. And when the person now is deteriorating and is unconscious, then they call. And I told them, I said, any clinic who will do this, we have to kind of recommend them. We went and we had a discussion with the board, but the board can only do so much. So we have been working on that, and I hope it's continuing, but it's yet to be seen.
So stay on facility. Let me move to facility now. You mentioned senators and all having, clinics. And that is also with some officials at the Ministry of Health, like some ministers.
Oh yeah. Dr. Jala has 2 clinics. Dr. Jala clinic was used as the one of her clinics was used as the COVID center. There are doctors working in the ministry who have their private clinic. They just come in and go. There are.
Folks, bear with us there. Bear with us there. It seems to be there is a little glitch at the end of our guest. Okay.
Let me tell you something. Most of the doctors there, because I went to the 15 counties. The moment you make them medical director or county health officer, those guys are working fixing a clinic bricks. I went and saw it. They wouldn't have clinic though, but once they put them in that position. So it's a conflict of interest, isn't it?
It is, definitely.
A conflict of interest. The minister, Dr. Jala, has her own clinic. You go in the Kajala clinic, you find good, well equipment in it, even though it has some little, it's gonna, but it shouldn't happen. This is where the diversion of government supplies goes. And that's why I was a threat to her, seriously, because I raised issue. And she's the boss. If she wants to take those things, it's okay. She's the minister, but I have to just say, I'm a little concerned about this. I'm a little concerned about that. Who did she use to divert this very deputy who she brought in, the very deputy who Dr. Jala strategized for this girl to attack me in my office, not once, not twice, not 5 different times.
And before we get to the attack here, I still have interest in these officials having health facilities, and there have been reports that a good number of them who are in charge of supplies and have access to all the medical equipment and materials, they are diverting those things to their health facilities so much that their personal health facilities are even better than those ones that are there for our people, the government-owned facility. Have you come to see this as something that is true, Telo?
And on top of that,
Yes.
what are the other issues with that, with healthcare, especially those in leadership, having their own clinics and medical facilities?
I mean, there's a conflict of interest.
Hmm.
This is the reason why when our partners bring these things, drug supplies, people are diverting it who are in power into their own private businesses. I saw some. I saw it. This is not a lie. Even the pharmacist made a report and gave it to Dr. Jala. I saw that report. Nothing comes out of it because if the leader herself got all her fingers in that jar, what do you think the other people who she leading, what would they do? The health sector should not be led like that. I went to several of those places and I saw some of that clinics got government equipments in there. Seriously. We have an association here, the Liberian Nurses Association in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I work with those people. They had come to Liberia, brought container with huge supplies of things. They even brought blood bank machine, a freezer, equipments upon equipments, and it was distributed to several counties. Oh my God, I saw people taking that stuff, putting it into their own place at that Dupo Road. So this is something that happened. Everybody's aware. Take the time to interview various clinics in life. They will tell you the truth. It's happening. No one says anything because the person who is spearheading the health sector is doing it. So everybody thinks it's normal to do, and it's happening. As a result, our people don't get the medications every time drug shortage, no drug, no fluid. Even though with the COVID supply chain line was a little delayed, but if you look at all of my office report, no medications because people are diverting and nothing come. The issue of impunity. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is not a lie. This is the truth. How do we fix that system is what I'm passionate about.
Thank you. Thank you. And folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. We are in conversation with Tarloh Quiwonkpa, who just resigned her position as Liberia Chief Nursing and Midwifery. Folks, we are about to get deep into the discussion. What led to her resignation is what she's going to talk about. We're also going to talk about something they call daily subsistence allowance. There is somebody who have been falsifying the document for their own personal benefit. We're going to talk about, her deputy who had confronted her, exhibited, according to her, some unprofessional and unethical behavior. She even got a letter of warning when, according to her, she did nothing wrong, but was just demanding best practices at the Ministry of Health. We will take a short break. When we come back, we will be talking about all those things. Stay tuned, folks.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
And I am Ansorin Sie hosting while Deneja is co-hosting today. Welcome back. Before we get back to Tarloh, we want to bring these advertisements to you quickly here. Please bear with me here for the movement. We want to announce that, is that it? No, that is not the one. Sorry there, folks. Today, this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, our program, Tough Talking Thursday, is coming to you. We are taking a second look at the CPP framework document, independent forensic report that was commissioned by Alexander Benedict Cummings. We want to know what impact is it going to have and what are the lessons to be learned there. We have Wimon Weti Kuni, we have Amen K. Sali, we have Mohammed Sharif, we have Carl Family or Tevina Ko and Anthony Muraya Kula from the ANC will be here to go deep into this particular discussion. Also, we want to announce that Tiawon Gonglo is here in the United States this weekend. They will be in Fargo, North Dakota, where Tiawon Gonglo is going to be there to meet with friends and supporters of Tiawon Gonglo is happening in Fargo, North Dakota. And details about that will be happening this Saturday, June the 4th at 6 p.m. To 11 p.m. Eastern Time. They are inviting the general public to come. The address is 1401 13 and 2nd Street South, Fargo, North Dakota. Tiawon Gonglo team is doing all they can to get the attention of the Liberian people. And so we will be bringing you more advertisement later on, but we have to get back to Tarloh quickly here. So Tarloh, you went with all the expectation, all this energy and experience to help your country. You started work. You were excited. You are still excited to do this thing. This thing is like in your DNA. It must have been painful for you to resign and leave what you always wanted to do for your country. What led to your resignation?
Yeah, if I can leave America where I made over six figures, that various opportunity, even teaching job offers were made to me. If I can leave and go back to Liberia, it was not so much about the money. Yes, the money would play its part, but I didn't go there to get rich or anything. I went there because I felt it was my country, and to have had the privilege to acquire the nursing degrees, I felt at this time, this moment in time, I must go, regardless of what. I had no homes. They burned my houses down. I had no place to live. And I went. When there, I was excited. And don't get me wrong, there are some good nurses who were also willing to learn. Went over, it was a very challenging environment. Very challenging. First of all, my office. The office, thank God to the World Bank, that office did not have a thing in there. This is the office responsible for all the nurses. 75% of the health force workers are nurses. So the World Bank helped us. We got little computers for the team members and everything. We didn't have vehicle. Through this project that my team and I wrote, we put in for 4 vehicles. They gave us 2. That's very nice. Government did not have cars assigned to our teams. We managed. We did this. Look, it's very. I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated with the system that's in place because doctors who came to America or maybe went to China and acquired the knowledge to be an OBGYN. You go back home and there is nothing. You see, building a facility and putting all the necessary big name out there and making the paint look good. Then when the reading CC kind and washed away and you enter the ER, you don't see what is needed. I'm not asking to say we should be like America. Well, don't you think what's wrong with that in the first place? Look at Ghana. So I am not angry because, first of all, let me just do a disclaimer. They felt that I had committed a crime in America. My team, they were asking me, well, lady, why you can't get the kind of job? You all the way in America, why you can't get the kind of job? Because some of the rumors that were scandalizing in the division there was that I had committed some crime in America and then I came to Liberia. So, and our people, some of them, they don't try to see the truth to get to know you, but because they are close to someone who has contact to the big person, they gravitate towards that person and just create this barrier and believe what is being told to them about a person. I encountered that a whole lot. So I'm not angry. I'm just angry. Just frustrated over the system that educated, smart doctors who come for training in these foreign countries, they return home only because of what? The $75 DSA they're going to get. They are not innovative. And let me make this clear. Not every doctor can manage a health sector or a health center. Not every doctor. When you are a doctor, you belong on the front line. We have so many doctors at our ministry. Currently in Liberia, we have 327 doctors. We have places in Lagos too that do not have doctors. Thank God there are some programs that were created, obstetric nurse practitioner, to meet those needs of women who needed a cesarean section. And they went and have people who went in for PA. Those physician assistants, when I left, they all were in Monrovia. They go in the bush. What is there for them to go and work with? What is in those hospitals? What is there? So as a result, most of them, and I think the ministry was trying to create some to incentivize them and send them. But when they go in the bush, my people, let us dig deeper. They go in the bush, and the men in the village have not seen what a health sector looks like. You put it in your chair and you have your stethoscope. They see that as big. But we, the practitioners who went to school, why is it that we are not advocating to ensure that we will become county health officer, medical director, to say, I am concerned, my office does not have this. I am concerned this is going to interfere with patient outcome. I am concerned the ability for me to execute my job well, I'm not meeting. They don't say everybody just sit and become complacent. That's the frustrating part. That's what I'm frustrated about. And I believe that if the government allocates enough money for healthcare, because right now the health sector has the highest, but when you look at the roster of healthcare, some of those people they have there, they're not correct. They have people who should not be on payroll. We know this thing. We know. But if you provide the enabling environment, I have the conviction because I train those nurses for dialysis, even the 40 military, in collaboration with the director of nursing they have there. She and I work together collectively, and we managed to do a lot of work before the military opened. That our nurses were able to learn. If you give those nurses the opportunity and reinforce it and have performance evaluation, they would be better. But they don't have performance evaluation. The World Bank was the one who brought that to at least strengthen the system. Because if to say a nurse allegedly committed a malpractice, they would just come together, a couple of doctors, the rest of, and you investigate, you see some of the things that happen, you say, is this person a doctor? Nothing comes out of it afterwards. So the World Bank decided to say, well, we will pay you guys money. The World Bank was paying the Ministry of Health good bit of money. Because we're not meeting those objectives, the World Bank stopped that. There's no performance evaluation being done right now. So I'm saying we who learn, we call ourselves doctors, county health officers. Why are we punishing our people by not speaking truth to power? Because they are afraid they will lose the job. They are just interested in that gas, the fuel that will come for the hospital. They divert the fuel. I have all that information. Only because of that, and you will let the masses, the very people you say you took an oath, the hypocritical oath. Look, it's so just disheartening, and that's where my frustration lies. Okay? I'm not angry at anybody. I'm just frustrated.
So Mrs. Quiwonkpa, so you resigned. Let's walk me through what brought you to that point.
Well, what brought me to that point was that when the minister was playing deception between me and my deputy, the minister would tell me something to go and execute it, right? And I will be very, very clear. I will be very, very honest. She had a concern about the very deputy during the COVID, and she asked me to take a decision that the person was not capable and ineffective. This is the truth. So I took the decision, but not knowing it was a means to create this rift between me and her. But you see, I played a fool because when you manage people here, in America, like I did at my various places, you can see a red flag, you can see red herring. So I did my part. She also was doing it because I give sincere, objective a critique of things that she wanted hush hush. That the deputy now, I mean the deputy who is now the appointed or acting will be doing. She would not raise any concern. She would just go by the flow. She's a praise singer for Dr. Jala. What led to my resignation, and that was most, it was the icing on the cake when Dr. Jala orchestrated this girl to provoke and want to fight me in the office. Like I said in my earlier discussion, not once, not twice, 5 different times.
And who is this guy for the sake of the listening audience? Who is
Diana Satat, the current, I think she's acting or something, you know. And I wrote a complaint about that. She accused me of putting her at gunpoint in my office, which didn't even happen.
Do you have a gun, Tarloh?
No, I do not.
Okay.
You know, because this was something they told, and it happened on November 13th of 2019, just one day following the Quiwonkpa. No, they just created this kind of a, just so wrong. So she orchestrated that, and she went and said this. The HR came down immediately in my office. I said, listen, I emptied everything. I haven't left the office. I'm here typing, working on my paperwork to submit to my boss. The guy said, no, I believe you. He didn't see nothing. I said, but this is wrong. So I immediately asked for an investigation. When I asked for that investigation, they called us. They begged me. She apologized. I said, you know, my confidence level for you to have said that is gone to 0. I don't feel safe. The same period, one of the team members in front of her, you know what she said to me? In the library, they can care for job business. So I said, you know, I came here with my heart, my conscience clear. If God said I would die this way, so be it. But nobody would kill me for job business. You know, I had to leave because
did that come across to you as a threat, Tarloh?
Yeah, and that's why I wrote. I talked to my immediate boss about it. The girl was fighting me or creating provocation. She would come into my office. You know, the office is such as when you enter, the technical assistant is seated at the left, and then the deputy in the front, and then there's a door you have to open that goes into my office. The girl was just so brave. She came in the office one morning, went to the bathroom in my office, went into my office. I was typing. She didn't say good morning. She went in the bathroom. She spent approximately 3 minutes in the bathroom. I did not hear the commode flushed. I didn't hear the faucet water running. So when she opened the door, I said, Diana, how come you went in there? You spent 3 minutes. I mean, that's untraditional, isn't it? You didn't even say good morning. You know what she told me? If I had to pee, you think I have to tell you about it? Let me tell you something. This is the Ministry of Health. Like the job, I'm here for a reason. That kind of work. I said,
So don't you think you are picking up, Tarloh?
Was that a joint bathroom or it was?
No, it's not a joint bathroom. It's my bathroom in my office.
No.
Yeah, but I allowed them to use it.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. I allowed them to use it. I took care of the cleaning of that bathroom. You get your bathroom, you got stuff, you don't got nothing to clean. You will probably wait for 4 months before they clean it. So if they want to use it, I even used to leave the key for them to use it. But here's the thing, they respect. So because of that hostile environment, when she tried to fight me a couple of times, I said I would stay home and work. I wrote. I said, listen, this lady has done this. She keep apologizing, but she keep doing this. At one point, you know, I said, you know what? I'm concerned about my safety because Dr. Jala was having her do this to provoke me.
Right. That's what I was coming to now. You said this was orchestrated by Dr. Jala.
Yep. And I stand by that.
What's the proof?
The proof is, you know, when you're at a minister and something going on with your director and the director email all of you guys, right? And ask and recommend it and say, you know, since this investigation is being conducted, let the deputy stay up in the upper office and let the director stay in her office as we continue the investigations. They didn't do it. I recommended that to the HR. For the 3rd time when she started to try to provoke me again. I wrote. Then one of the ministers said, Diana should stay upstairs in the office. Then Dr. Jada came and said, yeah, let Diana stay upstairs in the office. You see that kind of thing? She was encouraging, and the girl was saying that to me in my face. Dr. Jada brought me here for a reason. So I wrote in my complaint. I got it here, 18 pages. Can she tell us why she even told our immediate boss this? Dr. Jada brought in the ministry for a reason. So I asked her, I said, yo, please ask her, what are the reasons Dr. Jada brought you here for? To harass me? Is that a reason why? She wouldn't say. So after Dr.
Did she work with this Dr. Jala in some place before that, you know?
I think at JFK, Dr. Jala worked with her before at JFK, you know, and so that's the only time I think they had some working relationship. And besides that, she will come in the office and say she's at Dr. Jala's house at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what they be doing down there, boy, but that's her prerogative. And I would say, listen, if you go into the minister's house, you don't have to disclose it. I'm not interested in that. Let's just get a job done, you know? So is that intimidation to say, I'm close to this person, you can't do nothing? And for me, as a former instructor, nursing at a college, I believe, you know, when I went into nursing school, I worked hard for my degree. And so I respect the profession. But when I saw them bringing Dr. Jada, encouraging this girl, Dr. Jada set me up to say, go and remove Diana from my clinic. In the first place, I did not know how she got that position there to be the supervisor at Dr. Jada clinic during the COVID. So I asked Dr. Jada, I said, well, how did she get there in the first place? I mean, you can move for that's your clinic. I said it. She said, oh, no, you are the big nursing person making it sound like I got that kind of power. So I said, okay. In the end, the girl went to her. She said she didn't tell me. So it was Dr. Jala. Then it same Dr. Jala, after my deputy went to her and said, Tarloh said, because I called my deputy back. I said, you know what? These things are happening at Jala's hospital. We've had 2 pregnant women that died. The chief medical officer for JFK even called and complained me about her. I conducted my own little assessment and I saw there were some gaps she wasn't meeting. So I told Doc, I said, I told you guys about her. I called her to the office. I said, let's use your experience, your encounter at this facility and create a work tool, assessment tool that these things does not happen to those other clinics. She refused. She said, you can't tell me to leave. I said, Diana, just listen. She said, no, because Dr. Jada put me down there. She gave me, I said, oh, really? Well, get this. It is Dr. Jada who asked me to pull you. And I know I wasn't diplomatic. I realized I should not have done that. But I was being honest because she defied me and said, there's no way you have the right to remove me because Dr. Jada put me in this position.
That's the truth.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Did you have jurisdiction over private clinics and hospitals as well?
Of course, yeah. Jurisdiction in the sense they have to meet compliance. Of course, we can go and visit, inspect, just like here in America. They go to private clinics, government, you know, to make sure they are in.
But you didn't have the power to remove people from their position in the private clinic. You could say you violated XYZ compliance issue or so.
Exactly.
So why would Dr. Jala tell you to go and remove somebody at her own
Good question, because it was the COVID time and COVID dollars was going over there for mothers, maternal, you know, women who were pregnant. Funds were going down there, equipment were going down there, supplies.
So the private clinic of the Minister of Health.
That's correct. Yes. Dr. Jala, they had their own staff, but most of the people assigned there were all government employees, down to the doctor that we had assigned at Jala's clinic during the COVID. So that's another conflict of interest. So when she realized that, she went to Dr. Jala, and Dr. Jala, whatever to discuss, apparently Dr. Jala said, I didn't tell Tarloh that. And I had a text message that I texted and told my other bosses about, you know, I don't know why the minister is asking me to pull Diana because I don't know nothing about it. But the minister made me to feel that you are the chief nursing officer. You do what I instructed you to do. So I went and did that. And that's why I told Diana, I said, if you think it is Dr. Jala who put you there, well, she is the one who asked me to call you back because of these deficiency we are looking at. In the end, Dr. Jala called me on my phone. When people tell you something, you would just call that name. So that's why I'm saying she is the one who made this girl to do the kind of provocation that I was subjected to. And if I wasn't smart, you know, I'm a crew girl. I grew up in Nukutan. I'm a crew girl. They would tell you, Tarloh, I don't like to fight. But if I ready to fight, if it is something my life in danger, but I pray about it to maintain maximum restraint because I knew their tricks. That's where they wanted to just dismiss me, effective immediately. You are dismissed for fighting your subordinate. That's what Akajala was looking for, and she didn't see it in me. I'm too good for that stuff.
So besides this, as you said,
Mhm.
Dr. Jala orchestrated fight between you and your deputy. Anything else that triggered your resignation?
Because of the ineffectiveness, we have so many gaps. Dr. Jada was not, like for instance, when diaspora nurses come in to conduct any kind of a workshop, I am supposed to be informed about it as the chief nursing officer, just to know, and besides to see what it is and to read more about it and advise Dr. Jala. She wouldn't put me on there. Dr. Jala, when at one point the last program at JFK, they had diaspora nurses teaching the nurses some good skill that I think was pretty good. They needed that. She stood in the public domain and said, "But where is the chief nursing officer?" I didn't like that. In addition to that, the fact that supplies and things that we needed, no budget, my air condition broke down. The air conditioner in the office, basically, in the other office I had the vaccine, it broke down for almost 1 year and 9 months. I have made several requisition requests. They will approve it, but then my very deputy will go when I go into the warehouse area where the procurement, people will tell me that they're blocking you, Tyler. Who blocking me? Who else will block me? So then in the end, the HR guy air condition broke down. Mine has been broken down now for almost 90 months. Another director one broke down. They went in and replaced it immediately. So I went to them. I said, "You guys, you help me, man. It's hot in it. I'm doing my work." Dr. Jada made sure they tried to um, make me to feel so, to make the entire environment, which is so unprofessional and unethical. Every little thing I would ask her, she wouldn't sign it because if the deputy minister signs, it has to go to Dr. Jala. If she sees it, she will step on it. And let me tell you one thing: the deputy made it vehemently clear to me. So long I'm in the office here, nothing will pass that she write. She said it.
So from what I'm hearing from you, Tyler, you are basically saying that Jada was the one doing just about everything to see you resign,
Yeah,
and that is the major reason for your resignation. Is that correct?
that's part of that.
Okay. And
That's
another
part
thing
of that.
another thing you mentioned to me prior to the discussion is this daily subsistence allowance, and that one mistress Sate falsified the documentation and included individuals who are not qualified for the daily subsistence allowance. And when that came to your attention, you tried to take action. Talk to us about that, because you call that stealing.
Oh yeah, it's pretty wrong. So basically, in at the ministry they have this thing where when the World Bank, the World Bank will allocate money for those who will go and conduct like the training, or maybe oftentimes they will say 9 days or less. Uh, and my office is supposed to ensure that those that are going are nurses who have the license renewal. We used to check the licensure and
Mhm.
everything. And so they must be the nurses who at least are able to, provide the narrative and who went over the action plan that we drafted together.
Mhm.
So the broader document, it was time, even though the document, the implementation had delayed, like 3 months was behind. When it finally came, I had gone to conduct fee assessment and came in. Usually I would get in from the field to the office around 4:30, and I'm tired by this time. So she brings the document, the World Bank document, and reminded me, "This is very late. I think you should just go ahead and sign this because our boss man is waiting for you to deliver this on your way home." I called him. He said you should bring it once you sign it, and he's waiting for it because he's traveling. So I said, "Okay, will you just put it down?" She said, "No, I want you to sign it." I said, "I have to read that. I'm not going to sign it like that." This lady got angry and she took off, slammed the door. When I decided to look through it, because I couldn't comprehend why is she angry. I mean, who does that? I went through it and I realized there were two individuals. One of these individual was a nurse who deserved that amount, but she was on vacation. In fact, that person had not been to work for 6 months because of health issue, legitimate health issue. My deputy and I, everybody in the health sector at that ministry knew that person was not there. Why would the deputy put that person's name there? That's one. We had kind of like a messenger person who you would send around to take letters, to go follow up on gas arrival or whatever. They had that lady on the list as well as a nurse to go and conduct 10 days nursing training to nurses. I asked about that. I saw that and I felt that I wasn't going to sign it. The entire thing had to be redone, rewritten. And by that time, I could have gone to the computer and do it. But by 4 o'clock, they cut the light. In fact, the light gets disconnected because it was all like generator. Maybe like 3 o'clock, only the minister office has access to current. For everybody else, you're on your own. So I couldn't go in there and get it done and bring it to the minister, to this particular our immediate boss. So when I saw the discrepancy, I tried calling her. She didn't answer her telephone. Well, So then I called our immediate boss and said, "Listen, I understand that you are expecting this document from me, but I have some reservations about what I saw in it." He said, "What is it?" Because I'm waiting for you. And I explained. He said, "Oh no, if that's the case, she got to be written up, just like that." I said, "I'm going to go over it and rectify it." So when time came, I tried to conduct an investigation about that. My deputy said she didn't do it. She said it wasn't her. She named two individuals. Those two people in the investigation, they said, "You told us to do it." So those things happen so many times. So don't
Right.
take accountability for what you do. And then the two of the staff who said she instructed them, they apologized. So I said, "You know what? I'm gonna write it up." And that's what made her now to get real mad about me, that I was going to write her up for this thing. And she went to two other directors, begging them to come and beg me not to write her up. And I said, "You know what? I think it's going to make her grow once you know that these things are not acceptable into this kind of practice." So,
Thank you.
you know,
Mrs. Quiwonkpa, we're going to go to read some comments and then take calls. But what I want to find out is, with all these issues going on, what were some of the steps that you took to resolve everything, especially the one between you and your deputy? How far did you go?
so basically, we went to, technically, when she accused me of putting her at gunpoint, it didn't happen. We went to the HR. The HR said I should work with her. And besides that, there were some things that happened in the past as well. I said, at this point in time, this is desperation. She could say something else to me. I have discussed with my immediate supervisor, and he agreed that I should write her up so that she doesn't do it. But then she didn't want to be written up, so they asked for the investigation, and the HR, and she apologized. The HR said I should work along with her, and I said, "But I still feel uncomfortable having her in the division. The people can lie on people so much in that country. If you're not wise, you would die." What I decided to do then, I said, let her be. In fact, he gave me that idea. We should transfer her. Because how do you work with somebody who, for the most part, she was very inconsistent in coming to work? I had attendance book to see who's coming to work. She felt that it was not something that it needed to do in the office. I put a mechanism to say, if the person is not here, let's find out. It could be another means for us to generate fund from our partners. And they have some legit reason. When it rains in our country, the whole place is because of erosion, the water. People can't get to work on time. I said, how many common themes do we have? Let's have it in this attendant book. How often this person, because what I noticed too, somebody's mom would die like 5 times. Her mom died. You know what I'm saying? And it was so I said, let's take this and write some kind of project note to see if our division can get. But this was not something she wanted. The book, the data, I was depending on to look at attendance and those who were not meeting their narrative appropriate. It got missing from the division. She never told me about it. So there were so many things she did. But what really was very concerning, if someone could come to you and tell you put them at gunpoint in the office and it's not accurate, I asked that I didn't want to work with her. That was too. It was just too much for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to know, Telo, salary for nurses in Liberia, because we continue to hear conflicting information. I know from the information you sent me, at some point you have written, as you wrote a letter requesting an increase in salary for one of your staff members, and this person is making 150 according to the communication you wrote. This person is Mr. Wisse or Cobley, and you were opting for $600 United States dollars for this person. And because you work with that person and you think the person is up to the task. So not only that person, let's talk about the salary for nurses in Liberia. What's your take on it, and what specifically you wanted this person to be paid $600 instead of $150?
Good question. In every organization, you see people who you give tax to, they get it done on or before the due date. They are proactive, and everybody know in that office, in that division, we said went beyond the call of duty. We said would get things done. He came from Dupero. We said was the person, the World Bank project. Imagine that my technical assistant was not there. She was sick. Diana was always not in the office. We have World Bank a mission arriving. They ask for specific document. They would just say, bring this. You get the manager will email you. We want it tomorrow or Friday. You have to write. I called Diana for us to gather and get this done. She didn't take part, right? She took off and was not a part of it. We said is the kind of guy, even the EKG, we said is very smart. He's objective. He gives constructive criticism. He would tell you, even when they falsified the DSA, he was one of the person in that thing. He said he raised concern and told her, we shouldn't do this. It will not go well with the OMA. So he had his work done. He was on time to work. He made it to work on time. You give him a report. It would be due. Either the due date, so he was effective. I mean, that's the kind of people you want to see and tap into. He never gave excuses about things. So I felt if he's doing more than most of the team members and getting the tax done while I'm on the field or going someplace else, he would make sure reports were there. He didn't give me excuses. My phone, his telephone was always. So I felt let's do due diligence for this fellow. And he was one of those for his performance evaluation, raised he scored a good point along with other staff. So then if he is working like this, there are other people who they brought in who not doing the job. You're giving them adequate amount. It's fair enough as the director of the department, those who meeting the targets based on the performance evaluation should be promoted. We look at it, the skill. That amount came from the CHR amount. That's how much they're paying people. I didn't create that amount. That's what some nurses are making down there. But most of the nurses make below that. And in fact, the nurse nurse anesthetists are now making that amount too. But there are nurses in that ministry who making even more than that. We know this. So I felt the need. He was acting. I even wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to the HR because at that time I didn't have a TA. I was overworking. My deputy was not there. I said, he's doing all the work. I'm going the fee, loading him. The deputy is not being part. He deserves some kind of a compensation. And that's why I made a recommendation. He was getting the job done.
Mrs. Quiwonkpa, one last question before, and the phone lines are open if you are just joining us. This is a conversation with Madam Tarloh Quiwonkpa, former Chief Nursing and Midwifery Officer for the Republic of Liberia. If you want to join the discussion, please call the number that is in the ticker. That's 601-313-6004. The code is 791403#. Mrs. Quiwonkpa, what we continue to hear as we are far away from the country is degree of tribalism or partisanship or this and that in these workplaces. You are crew, definitely the president is crew. Are you a member of a CDC? Or how did tribalism, you being crew, the president is crew, and we are hearing, if you are crew, you are favored by the president. So did you have other strings to pull to go to the president and speak crew so that you can stay there? Or again, are you member of the CDC, or is it you are not member of the CDC? How did tribalism and being part of the ruling party play a role in the situation that you face at the ministry?
You asked so many questions in that one.
I know that was
the issue here is that I must emphatically say that I never talked to the president or anything. The president did not even perhaps knew I had a job because Dr. Jada had to tell him who was in that position. I'm just a sympathizer of the CDC. And that's why when the president came to power 4 years ago, I can say that I was one of those who advocated for the president. I mean, the record's there, you can't deny that. It is not so much of being cruel. For me, it's not that tribal thing I believe in. If I see the potential, the person can get it done. All of us had this expectation, President, where I was in Europe. The best FIFA best player, the man lived in Europe. The guy took his time and was going to Liberia. In fact, he brought soccer players here in Minnesota, and I took boxes of jerseys and I deliver it to them. So it's not so much of being if even you have a tribalistic person and the person know the job, they can do the job. That person is a Liberian. Give it to them based on merit. My role as a crew woman, I'm proud that I'm a crew woman, and it was not predicated on the fact that I'm crew that I got a job. I've never had a privilege to even discuss anything with the press. I went there once I got my job, I just worked. I never saw anybody. The person who I even went to see one time was Sonwabi. I am a workaholic. And I think the work ethics that I had, it didn't go well with some people because they are not accustomed to that. So I gradually was writing things down. And I will still be told that, boss lady, if I do this, the person will reach me, so I will not ask them. That mentality. So I'm not a sedition in terms of being a partisan. No, I'm not. But I just went proactively. Ellen, of course, she and I had a beef. I wrote that letter, and I did not endorse Omen Boakai because I felt President Boakai was there when those 62 concessions went on. He didn't say much about it, and it wasn't in the best interest of our people. So that's the only thing I had about the Omen. I didn't see any corruption. And because I felt that George, we had this orientation internationally, he will bring in the jobs. He will promote the soccer where we have one of the best stadiums. Now look at the stadium right now. The stadium is disqualified by FIFA. Liberia did not take part in any of the sports. This is the world best president we have, who right now jobs are not being given to the youth. So I think the fact that I'm crew and he's crew, there was no connection in that regard. And if it was a Pella man, a Monah man, a Bassa man, Gisi man, Mandingo, I would do what I'm doing if the person has the same philosophical belief that I believe in.
Do you feel if you were a member of the CDC, your job would have been saved?
If I was a member of the CDC, if I'm doing well, you could say that. Arguably, people expect that. But if I see things are not moving the way it's moving, I believe not being a part of that. It just contaminates everyone.
So, Tarloh, given this experience, the way it ended, and I'm still looking at your passion, for, providing healthcare in our country. If the president should hear about this, apparently he doesn't know, and say, oh, wow, we had this kind of quality person, and we have lost this person. We don't have this person anymore. I'm reaching out and probably gave her a more, dignifying role that, befitting her qualification. Is that something you willing to do, to pack your bags and go back again to meet some people who might be unethical and professional?
I will have to think about it. Seriously. I will have to think about it. It is not just healthcare right now. It has to do with some of the things the CDC are doing. That if the president can reverse the course and listen to those concerns, people around him who are mainly tarnishing his legacy, if he can remove some of those people and take action, come in. The president been for 4 years, he has not even reshuffled nobody. Everybody not doing well. Things are not going the way it should go. So if he should call me back, I would have to think about it and make some recommendations.
Are you saying you're going to set conditions if he should call?
Say that again.
Are you going to set conditions that he needs to meet before?
Of course. I don't want to go get in a trap and get killed. Let's be serious about it. So long as Akajala is in that country and she knows I know what she's doing, and then for her to be the health minister and not go into health, that is like cuckoo person. I don't want to be his, all those auditors who die. I don't want to be like, I will speak out. And for as long she's there, if the president calls me, Dr. Jala needs to go.
You say if the president reverses course.
Yeah, if he reverses his course.
Right, like what? Give us some specifics.
Good. Dr. Jala is detrimental to healthcare. She needs to go. She's not an administrator. Keep her in the hospital. That's one. Secondly, President Weah needs to look at best practice. Those who building these hospitals, he needs to look and see, go in there and have a health advisor who will give him recommendation based on best practice. In addition, we need to structure the workflow process for nurses and midwives and how nurses environment clinic. It has to be looked at comprehensively. It is not just the infrastructure goes and make decisions for nurses. That one another area we used to have constructive discussion. They will go and put these hospitals. They don't discuss with the nurses to get their perspective. When you're working in an environment, you need feedback added into that new construction, right? If he can do that, if they can build, right now there are nurses, even the new hospital they built in Buffalo. Have you guys ever heard where the nurses are living? Nurses environment? I got thousands of pictures of nurses environment that look so deplorable. Deplorable. No one look after. If you can have nurses, empower the nurses to create managerial skills for them. I will ask for a few things that we'll have to put in place that our nurses are capable of doing, but because we are not driving that and speaking that language and running with it and continuously just seeking our own interest. And that's what the president currently have around him. People who are not looking at the bigger picture.
But Telo, this is serious. It has to do with the life of our people. According to Professor June Dopo, say when you have you have everything. I'm paraphrasing him here. And so this is a government that is boasting of doing much when it comes to healthcare delivery in Liberia. But you saw it firsthand that is far from the truth, given the characters and the practices that are going on. Because are you prepared to make the phone call to President Weah and say, look, don't let these people lie to you. I work there, I've seen it. People are dying today because you talk about, pregnant women dying because nurses don't know exactly what to do. I think they call it EKI, you said?
No, EKG.
EKG. They're not able to even read it. That is serious.
Telemetry.
People are dying because of that. Are you prepared to make that phone call that this woman is a problem?
If you give me President Weah number, I'll call him in a heartbeat. And I don't want to say Dr. Jala is a doctor. She has her own area she's good at. Dr. Jala belongs in the clinic, in the women's clinic. That is her expertise. She's not a surgeon. Dr. Jala is a doctor. You put her in an administrative area, she's not a good one. And I will tell him that. My brother, I don't want to discuss things here, but I've made the effort, and to my utmost surprise, because I saw documents and I said, this thing here, I think this guy needs to know. But Dr. Jala herself is surrounded with the president, of course, through John or Nathaniel McGay. This thing is a clique. So what is the essence? Because they perceive me as threat to best practice. They have houses that are building over opposite the barracks. I had a discussion with her. You're building all these houses for doctors. Where are my nurses and midwives? You're allocating this for doctors, $240,000 for the house. The doctor don't even make that kind of money. They went and got some Ghanaian company, some kind of loan. They did it, some kind of jaka way, all kinds of too many things going on in healthcare over there.
And that's why we want to
too many things going on. Too many things going on. My nurses, midwives, they did not even think about these nurses who are on their feet in the absence of physician. They are there working to deliver and save our Liberia's children's lives. You constructing hospital for doctor to go and pay for it. So I said that what about the nurses? Oh, we get a nurse. That how she calls that? That we old team, long time old team. and you make and say, you know what, I think the nurses should be a part of it, then she agreed. But when you leave that offer there, that is.
Mrs. Quiwonkpa, we have callers here. We definitely want to call you back to discuss healthcare. I can see the comments, a lot of comments, some coming from healthcare practitioners. So we really want to call you back and discuss healthcare, the challenges, and how we can fix it. But this time, let's open the phone line. The first caller here is Ligore William. Is that the name? Your name and where you calling from? Let me open it like that. Go ahead, caller. Your name and where you calling from?
Can you hear me? This is Ligore Williams. I'm calling from the state of Georgia.
Ligore William, go ahead. You are live.
Thank you very much. To be honest, I want to appreciate you first of all for this kind of information from back home. I have listened to what our sister had to say about what she's been going through. But let me say this. I had an opportunity to work at GFK before in Africa in e-health. And I understand how corruption in that place works. You understand? So at these things we have to put stop to it. This is the fifth person. This is the fifth person who's complaining about Dr. Wilhelmina Jara. This is the fifth person complaining about Dr. Wilhelmina Jara on professionalism, on administrative experience, and this is hurting our people. It is sad. We are so proud to fly out of our country, so proud to visit other countries, to seek medical attention. How can we live with our conscience? There are nurses in that place making thousands of dollars doing nothing only because they are part of some certain clique, corrupt clique, unprofessional sort of people. When you have people there who are doing their best to make a change. This is the fifth person who has complained about Dr. Wilhelmina Jara.
Yeah.
As long as you are not willing to, excuse me for the expression, to maybe cave her ass, then she will get rid of you. She will do everything she can. And I understood that from one of my other colleagues, I understood that lady is a gossiper. And she will do everything she can. You cannot be at that level in authority and be so unprofessional. You don't do that.
Thank you, Ligore. We don't know all that.
People are dying. They are hurting.
We'll invite Dr. Jala so that she can we can hear the side of her story. But thank you so much. We have more callers here. I want to conclude quickly so we can go to the next caller, please.
No, this is what I want to say, right?
Thank you. Let me go to Sarah Sine. Sarah, you're alive. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and let me say thank you to your studio guest. Anthony and Dennis, I worked in the health sector in Liberia for more than 10 years prior to coming in the U.S.
Okay.
And part of the reasons why our system is like that is that there is a disconnect between the forces that are in the health sector, meaning the doctors who are the head of the system do not have, most of them do not have respect for the other paramedics institution. I mean, paramedics are HRs or human resources, meaning the nurses, the midwives, the PAs, the lab technicians, and the rest of it. And this is something that is evidence if you go into, or if you went to the county level. Take, for example, you will see somebody assigned to places like Barrebo, that there is no radio station, there is no current, there is no water. Even when they are big infrastructure, it's very rare to say, oh, these quarters are for nurses or this. The first thing they think about is doctors. And that is the reasons why our maternal mortality is still up and it will not come down, because people who are working in the system who are seeing the patients on a daily basis at the community level are not being satisfied, So she just went and been part of a system, and start to experience what we have experienced over the years.
Yeah.
But until that can change, our system will continue. Until, people who, besides the issue of corruption, that is permeated, that has permeated the institution, meaning the health sector, there's the issue of disunity among those who are professionals at the highest level. They don't regard other people, So there is a need, for us to be, having a dialogue about our health system. Instead of just focusing on the issue of politics sometimes.
Thank you, Cyrus.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Let me take another caller from with Columbus, Ohio, number 614. Your name and where you calling from?
Thank you so much. My name is William Moore, and I'm actually calling from Minnesota.
Your name again? I didn't get that.
You said William Moore.
Go ahead, William.
All right, thank you. I want to say thank you to your studio guests, and I want to say thank you to the both of you that are hosting this important program. I have 3 questions for your guests. I hope she will be able to jot it down and answer these questions. If I proceed with my 3 questions, I believe the studio guests work within the department that she worked in before, and I believe she understood the problems that the department were facing before assuming responsibility to take up said job. And I overheard your guest saying that she couldn't vote for Honorable Barker because he sat there and insisted to conservation because agreement was passed previously. So that was her reason of not voting for him. And her reason for voting for Honorable Weir, it is because he lived in Europe, he played soccer in the Minnesota, and she contributed some jersey. So she had her reason. So from my understanding, her reason was personal. So these are my 3 questions. My first question is, do you, Mrs. Quiwonkpa, do you regret your decision not voting 2017 for Honorable Barker? That is my first question. My second question to you is, do you have any regret voting for President George Weah with the kind of situation that the country is facing? And I want you to please compare this when Ellen was president and compare the situation now. Which one is better? My last question before I leave, can you please tell us, I'm speaking this to your guests, can you please tell us the vision you had for the nurses before taking up your position as chief nurse? Because I believe the condition was not good. So, or can you please tell us, the listener, your vision you have for them? Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Let me get the last caller here, and that's G. Gwen Johnson Smith. Go ahead, your life.
Yes. Hi. Thank you for taking my call. I would like to thank Ms. Quiwonkpa. Thank you. I'm just listening to her as a health practitioner in the United States. There's a fine line between doctor's practice and nursing practice. Basically, we have our own autonomy in practice, and sometimes the news coming out of Liberia with the doctors being so involved into nursing stuff is kind of frustrating. But I was surprised that each hospital in Liberia do not have a chief nursing officer, because hospitals here in the state, almost every health center got their own chief nursing officer, because they do not only promote budget control, nursing performance, education, and stuff, but they do a whole lot of advocating for the nurses. But just from listening to Mrs. Quiwonkpa, in my opinion, I thought she did function well in her role, trying to bring accountability, best practice with license renewal, performance evaluation, introducing new things to the system. However, of course, she did it for her own kids. I'm kind of disappointed that she stepped out because this is what the system wants. They want to frighten the diaspora so much that we do not go with the changes that the system needs. Now talking about EKG, like there are dialysis nurses in America. My husband is a dialysis nurse. I'm an ICU nurse. So there are no nurses that are midwives here. I mean, we have the specialty, so we cannot be afraid. And I will just give one example before I close. Mary Brown, when she went in, she was fought against, she was pushed. She stayed and she made that change, and today the people can say, yes, Mary Brown did it. So going in, the Liberian change is hard. So we should go in with that concept, and we should go ready to fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony, I lied to you. Let me take one last caller. Caller, your name and where you calling from. 8667.
I don't want Telo to get angry with me.
No.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. Your name and where you calling from.
Hello? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dennis. My name is Jonathan Doake. I'd like to say thanks to Madam Quiwonkpa for the level of information she has provided and the level of work she's done over a period of time. I'd like to take credit that she was quite humble to emphasize that Dr. Jala is a title, she acknowledged it, but she also made emphasis that she should be better placed in different positions than the position of being an administrator. It is quite unfortunate, I mean, for us at this age and time, given our backwardness of the country and people, to have the kind of challenges, especially for career people who have come to help. You know, the normal undermining and shenanigans meant to, belittle somebody who have come to, contribute their expertise. We have to do better than that. I have just similar experience, and I think it is quite good to have these kind of people like Madam Quiwonkpa in the country. And last of our deal, on the 17th of April, I came to America with my son, 11-year-old son. And to get it in school, it was quite challenging for me because he had to complete all of the vaccines. All of the vaccines he took was basic vaccine that he took when he was between his 1 and 3rd year. So when I got here, we had to take a couple of vaccines. And we were told that the vaccine here they are given according to their ages. So every year, now and then, you take vaccine. Unlike like Europe, you take it just at a particular period. So I thought to, when I get back to advise them so that they can do it in conformity with conventional status.
Thank you.
So again, that's quite disappointing that we'll be hearing such a news. My gay intervention, again, it was a carry when we heard the news about that Nyakwa Juma, who is still going on that suffering, and then we're hearing his intervention with the issue of menstrual health.
Thank you, Jonathan.
But again, I say thank you for the show.
Thank you. Okay, let me send it over to Madam Tarloh. Miata Dakina said, thank you, Auntie Tarloh. I remember performing with you in Oakland, California.
Yeah, look, I couldn't agree more with the callers, right? Most notably, the caller who spoke prior to the last caller, she talked about, so that the diaspora are not frightening by me returning to the U.S. is exactly what they need. She makes a very good point. That's true. But, you have one life to live. Okay, I really, really agree with her. She mentioned Mary Brown. Now, you got to understand, Mary Brown was given presidential power. She could go anywhere and make change. For me, Dr. Jala saw me as a threat. So she did not give me the support that I needed. So this is the comparison people should sit back and look at. She saw me as somebody who had a vision in terms of introducing, I think the other caller spoke about what was my vision, the comparison between George Weah, whether I have regrets voting for George Weah and why I didn't vote for Ellen, the black eye, all of that, The issue is that I went there after I did the analysis. I realized the deficiency, the gaps. The World Bank asked me and another department to get this going, and they were going to support it. And I hope they're going to support it because we left all of those on the roadmap. Everything they asked for in the policy, I wrote everything and I handed it to my deputy. Now, I who wrote it and did the research, I should have gone to defend it, and why they went and selected my deputy to go and present it. I gave it to her. That's one the thing that she doesn't have no clue to even talk about telemetry. It happened. So I was able to do that. My sister, you're right. The people feel that we who come from the diaspora, we do not have the same entitlement to be in position as theirs. But again, the Mirrorbrook comparison, I'm sorry you made that comparison to me because I had no budget. Oftentimes, I was putting gas in my own car. If the World Bank project brings in gasoline, that gas don't last for 6 months. I did half of the work that fixed things in the office. So Mary brought her everything she could go and impact change immediately. I did not have that because Dr. Jara didn't want to see the kind of changes that I wanted to effect because she had diversion going on. So that's why I couldn't stay there and see myself to just die like that. Even though sometimes, I thought about it and I say, if I want to die, let me die. But to see myself trying to fight somebody, that's the lowest. So in an effort to not get caught up in a fight, because she really wanted to create this to ruin my reputation that I have created in this United States. I have worked in major hospitals. Not a single day you will hear Tarloh Quiwonkpa have conflict with anybody. I reached out, and they were about to destroy my integrity and orchestrate lies. I saw it. And to the extent where they conducted 5 or 4 investigations, the findings from those investigations was never revealed to me. I went to the legal office to get that. My sister, if your foot not in the shoe, it's easy to say, oh, that country. So I had to leave because of that, and to get my side out so that those who go in be mindful. The kind of a high expectation I had. There are many disappointers we have in positions in healthcare. Now, in reference to the other caller who spoke about my regret for electing George, let me say this. I mentioned the reason why I mentioned George, we have experience abroad as a soccer player. Whether you want to hear it or not, that's the fact. My expectation was that the guy he knew all these investors through soccer. He could bring those people, create jobs, create scouting. Some of the Liberians could be scattered from Liberia to play for international teams. Those were the kind of reason why. And the fact that this guy has been the best. George Weah had investors behind him that were looking up to him to see what was his vision for Liberia in this area. My expectation was that he would have brought jobs. So I felt he was young, and the role he played in refugee camp and went and brought food. Come on, we have to. I say things when he does okay, but if I have to rate him on a scale right now, I would give him a D minus. So that's why I don't regret supporting him. I'm only frustrated that he let a lot of us die, even his own sedition. And do I think Weah is able to change the course? I think he can. If he sit down and don't play their fun with the people's job and religiously sit down and read or have other people read these things to him and let him look at it and go and inspect it himself and look at names. Why I didn't vote for Bwakai? Well, I do regret to a certain extent because Bwakai was never corrupt. I feel that Bwakai, the concession is a major thing. Out of 68 concession, only 2. This guy, the old man Bwakai, who I respect, he saw those concessions. He didn't do anything. Those were areas that were going to bring investors and jobs to our country. He didn't push it to the expectation I thought he would have done. I don't see him with any corruption. He has the experience, but then again, he was with Ellen, and being Ellen were not on good terms, and it goes even deeper. So when I saw Weah, and like I said, I hope the audience don't say because of football. I'm looking at it from a business perspective. I'm going deep analytical. Maybe I should break it down. Anybody can play football. That's not what I'm saying. He had the contacts. Ellie may have had the contacts with academic institution. George Weah had the money. How many Liberians from Sunday can you see there around a football team? So Manchester, what you call it? Me, I know football. So that's why I thought that bringing George Weah into this new Liberia, and because he traveled and saw how the people build their places and saw clinics, he will also incorporate that vision into his roadmap plan. But I didn't say because he played football, no. You guys think critically. All right. In reference to compare, we have administration with Ellen. Let's be realistic. Ellen did some good things. Ellen, from when I went Liberia, the people in the market, I went to market house. The kind of challenges and hardship the people are facing. Let's be realistic. It was not as bad as in Ellen term. The same Ellen Joel is protecting her. So Ellen, even though I was against Ellen paying ministers $22,000, right? $10,000, I was against that. But there were some good things. I tell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen, there are some good nursing practice in the books that Ellen put into place. And from what I heard on the ground, not just the health sector, other places, Ellen, one of the issue was that the nepotism, the corruption was rampant as well. So, yes, every time we have presidents visiting Liberia. How many presidents have gone to Liberia on a job? So, there's some good things. The other guy spoke about disconnect staff, midwives, institution. He just made a comment, so I wouldn't elaborate on that. So let us not take that out of context in terms of Mirabro ability. She was empowered. She had a right. Mirabro could walk anywhere, and she had the money. President Ellen supported her. For me, Dr. Jala was not willing to support me. If it is not Dr. Jala, nothing was done by Tarloh Quiwonkpa. She made that decision, and she marginalized the division. So.
Thank you. Let me roll in another advertisement here. 15 Gate Incorporated is in Upper Caldwell, Monserrado County. They have this men's and ladies fashion design. If you want to get in contact, please do so. The cell phone number is 0775-165-416, or you have the Lone Star number and the WhatsApp number right there. Also, today we want to wish a happy birthday to one of our own here at Focus on Liberia, that Priscilla J. Inanto. She's the host of A New Day. Priscilla, happy birthday, and wish you many more. Mrs. Quiwonkpa, again, we want to have you back, but let me send it back to Mr. Anthony Sia, the host of Our Politics. He saw some politics in there. He wanted to get into it, but I've been stepping on his toes. I said, let us keep to script. And so that's why. So we want to have you back so that he can do his political thing. Mr. Sia.
Thank you, Dennis. It was good. You came in to hold me back a little bit, and I think the focus was more on the system, especially the healthcare system, and who could have better, give us enlightenment as to how things have been happening there, other than Tarloh, who have had this opportunity to work in the system for a little over 3 years. Tarloh, we can thank you. Thank you so much. I have your phone number. That's the trouble you have gotten into. We will reach out to you again to talk more. We don't want to keep you beyond 2 hours, 15 minutes. So at this time, we want to say thanks for coming. We would like to get your closing statement, and what are you working on? Let's hear from you. What's your closing?
So I just want to say thanks to you and your team for inviting me. Sometimes me speaking the truth, or speaking truth of power, or pointing out those ills in society is not because I'm angry. It's only to say, let the audience listen so that we can advise each other to do the right thing. Right. I want to thank you for this opportunity. There's nothing that I have spoken about I did not see or I didn't talk about. Liberia belongs to all of us. If we have to improve our nation to be part of the nations of nations, we have to accept Liberians living in the diaspora to come home, integrate with our team on the ground, respect each other, bring both knowledge, enhance it and do the right thing in the best interest of our people. Additionally, government should allocate funding and housing, adequate housing for our nurses and midwives, and pay them so that they can feel proud. Of course, they do feel proud caring for patients, but to keep motivating them to do the best thing. I also want to say in this regard, I want to appreciate the audiences who were very objective. I appreciate that. You know, sometimes when you don't know what's happening, you say things. But I do not want the audience to come across to think that Tyler is so upset at this person. No, it's the system I am targeting. We have policy. Let us pray and hope that our leaders adhere to policies and set performance evaluation to at least bridge the gaps in areas our team members are having challenges with. But when they do something to just, move them and say, we don't provide those means for them to grow. Lastly, as I sit here, I know you had a commercial about Tiawon. I'm surprised you guys never even mentioned it. Tiawon is here. I'm on his team. I have a reason for being on his team. He has integrity. I'm not here to, bite anything. I want the Liberian people to know that I'm only doing this because I have the country at heart. Liberians get better honor Liberians. So once again, it is all for Mama Liberia. We are all Liberians, diaspora team members. We are all one. Our people on the ground should not think they are so entitled, and this is the problem we have. So let us work and respect each other wholeheartedly and accept objective criticism, constructive criticism. If we can do this and think in a new way, I am convinced that with a new leadership, that country and its health sector, with all the doctors and nurses we have here who are Liberians working in ICU area, they can move back home. They don't want that much money, but they can make an impact because it's based on best practice. I thank you, and I look forward to more interaction with you guys.
Dennis?
Thank you so much for coming. And I see your question here. Someone say, you seem upset. I don't want you to respond. I will respond and say, why not? There was a time and when I was writing and they said, Dennis, why are you upset? I said, come on now. I graduated at the top of my class at age 17. These guys brought war that destroyed the country. For 10 years, I was sitting down and you expect me not to be upset? Of course I should be upset. So if you think Tarloh Quiwonkpa is upset, yes, she should be upset because she left from here, went to Liberia to contribute. Normally, people are called to say, here, we have a job here. But she went and started submitting her resume. She got a job, work, and she got frustrated. So yes, she should be upset. If I'm in her shoes, I'll be upset. I want to also say that today, our reporter, we are working with Prime FM. We have our uncle, Mr. Prince Moba, who is our uncle there. He went to report for Focus on Liberia. There was a story at the Bay Mountain Monrovia office on 18th Street B-side in Single that he was covering because he saw people at the gate carrying placards asking for their money. So when he decided to cover the story, an employee or someone who's supposed to be an employee of Bay Mountain came and attacked him to stop reporting. He was attacked and his cell phone smashed. So right now he's trying to follow up the story. So we are also calling on the authorities concerned. We don't have money to replace this guy's cell phone. Now you put us in more debt. So we want, first of all, he's safe. And he told us that his phone was damaged. And I saw that on the video because I was watching. So we are calling the authorities to please take note and do what is necessary so that journalists are not attacked, they are not beaten, and the equipment destroyed. Focus on Liberia. We are just doing our level best, contributing, taking money from our families' money to be able to do what we can do as a contribution. So when we are attacked in the process, we are not only sad, but we are also upset, and we want something to be done about it. Again, Tarloh, thank you, and we want to thank our viewers for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
And so, folks, this is how I will close it. And I will also join Dennis to answer that question. What are not Tarloh seems upset? Why not? I am upset. I am upset because the system is rotten. healthcare delivery system should be for the people and not for those who are serving in that system. They are servants of the people, but what we've heard today and continue to be reported is the fact that those who are in charge of the supplies, of the equipment, those who should be providing the accountability, are the very ones who are stealing and carrying zero. They have zero respect, zero care for the system. They are not doing everything in their power to transform the system so that the system can work for our people. The system is only working for them. The healthcare minister and all, with her hands in the cookies jar, as we have heard here. So this whole system is rotting from the top. I'm all sad that this woman is not up to the task. Pregnant women are dying. Curable diseases are not getting tackled by health professionals just because maybe the facilities are not being catered to accurately. What is going on here? So yes, I'm upset. I'm upset, and any Liberian should be upset that the system is rotting and the people in charge of the system to make it better are not making it better for the people. They are making it better for their pockets. And that is sad, and that is upsetting. This is how we will close the broadcast. And Tarloh, we want to say thank you. And we are upset for Liberia, not necessarily for you. I know you are a fighter. And I'm upset with the president because he's sleeping and he's enjoying himself while Liberians suffer in the healthcare system. The songs that closes us is called We Are All Liberians. I am, Danny is, Tarloh is, and that song is closing us right now. And you all are Liberians, and your people are suffering under a healthcare system that has no leadership, zero leadership whatsoever. Thank you, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.